I'm going to put forth to you a very controversial idea that I think all of you should consider rather deeply. And that's the notion that your feelings, no matter what you're feeling, are not who you are. Let me explain. In today's culture, it's very in style to identify with your feelings. In fact, for many people, their feelings become their entire identity. If they feel like a thing, then they say they are that thing. If you feel like, let's say, a victim, then you take on the identity of a victim. You call yourself a victim. Read and educate yourself on whatever particular form of abuse victimized you. And then you find yourself, slowly over time, joining a community of fellow victims where you all sit around and commiserate about your victim states. This identifying with feelings doesn't just take place in the circumstance of victimhood. This also takes place with other forms of identity. Let's say you feel like a loser, so you take on the identity of a loser. You're just a person that never wins. Maybe you're cursed. Maybe God doesn't like you. You then become a person slowly over time who is never surprised or shocked when you lose. After all, that's what losers do, right? And that's all you've ever done your whole life is lose. This self identifying with feelings isn't always negative. Sometimes it works out in a good way. There are people who, through no effort of their own, have been placed in positions of great privilege and responsibility. And this makes them think that they are highly accomplished because they feel highly accomplished. So they take on the identity of highly accomplished people. You are what you feel like has become a truth in our culture. But is this true? Are you what you feel you are? Well, if you believe it strongly, then the answer is sometimes yes and sometimes no. All those negative and positive feelings you feel happens because of chemicals created in your brain and released in your body through your brain. Feelings are a road sign. They don't make you go anywhere. They just tell you where you are going. You decide to take a direction and your feelings let you know what your body thinks about that direction you're headed in. You see, behind every single feeling is a thought. And thoughts, if you really think about them, are rather impersonal things. They're impersonal because much of the time they're random. I get it. You're not really buying what I'm saying. But here's an example. Have you ever been in a conversation with someone? Maybe we were talking about trees or a show you saw on Netflix. Then somebody comes up and interrupts your conversation rather rudely. But without even thinking about it, you all just switch and start talking about this new thing this other person is introduced into a whole new conversation. How many times have you been thinking about one thing and then some distraction occurs and you start thinking about something completely different? How many times have you walked into a room and completely forgot why you went in there and just shrug your shoulders and say it'll come back to me later? You could be thinking about anything in the world, and then I come up to you and I just say the word dog. And then images of dogs begin to pop into your mind. My point with all this is thoughts are random and thoughts are nearly uncontrollable. And feelings derive from that thought, and then it's upon you to act on how you feel. You can give in to the feelings that derive from crazy thoughts that just pop in your head, or you can control yourself. Take, for instance, the person that has the thought, I am really bad at having conversation. And then they decide to believe that thought about themselves. Most likely, this person will go through life having bad conversation. But this all goes deeper. If you have a friend and you constantly tell that friend, you know what? You're really bad at having conversations. And then they choose to believe the thought that you put in their head, then again, most likely they become bad at having conversation. Now, what does all this mean? And how can you use this knowledge to improve your life? Well, if you want to create different emotional states and change how you feel, you have to decide which thoughts out of the many, many, many thoughts that you're going to have during the day, which thoughts serve you best? Which thoughts do you want to make real in your life? And which ones do you not want to be real in your life? You have to be very intentional with this because it is totally impossible to believe in certain realities and feel however you want to. Let me say that again. It is totally impossible to believe in certain realities and feel however you want to. If you believe that you cannot do a certain thing, like have a conversation with a stranger, then you will not be able to do it. And whenever you try to do these things that you've decided to believe in your thoughts that you can't do, your body will flood you with anxiety, and soon you won't even try. Do this long enough, and you'll have a panic attack when you even think about doing some of these things. So, in order to change how you feel, you must change how you think. And this is an incredibly difficult task, but it is the best road to creating a long, lasting behavioral change in your life. So next time you're sitting around ruminating on how much of a loser you are or how much you've been victimized in this life, stop those negative thoughts. Stop yourself and choose to tell yourself a new story. Create a new narrative in your head of who you are and what you are, and choose to tell yourself something that will benefit positively in your life. The first few dozen times you do this will be hard, but if you make it a commonplace practice in your life, I promise you one day you might just wake up feeling totally different, and you might have an actual new identity, but one that serves you. Thank you for listening, and have a